My administration no go fold hand dey look without work for Edo people. As property tax dey important as na one of the ways to get money to develop the state. Oga Obaseki, Edo governor, yarn this one for one meeting with stakeholders, women groups, civil society organizations, traditional rulers and business committee to look for ways dem fit collabo to implement the state new property tax wey go make government continue to dey meet im obligation to citizens. When e concern property owners when they must pay as tax no be for poor people, and say people wey no get property no get business with this kind tax, and say he wan make Edo people join body with the state government as they never complete all the roads for the state as they need money to complete them, and say since he enter office for 2016 development don increase for the state as they don almost do 1,500-kilometer roads for the state, and say the bad roads around the state na federal government road. E con still talk say if you get one property, you go pay one tax for your property as local government and state government don get mechanism on how to share the tax as they no go collect cash at all as all payment dey go straight into government account as they go give account on how they take spend the money, and say he don meet with traditional rulers and he con tell them say the internally generated revenue dem go take the money take feed those wey no get as dem go help the poorest of the poor for the state.
The land use charge is simply property tax. It is tax that property owners must pay and should pay. It is not a tax for poor people, to tax poor people. If you don't have property, you have no business with this tax. All of you will agree that since we came in 2016, the rate of development in Edo State has increased. Is that not true? Up to this building you are in, it was not here in 2016 when we came. The roads were built, almost 1,500 kilometers of state roads that we have built. The ones you are seeing that you cannot pass, those ones are federal government roads, they are not our road. If they are our road and we have authority, we will do them. When I say I want to do those roads, they'll say, Governor, this is not your road. We have already given contract for these roads. We can't touch them. That's why those roads are as bad as they are. Those of you who came from Esan, our own roads, through Jogba, through this state, is it not good? So as government, we are continuing to do work. We will continue. But where will we get the money from? Is it not from tax? If you have a property and there's no road to the place, would you get tenants? Can you even get to the house? That is why it's important to encourage government to continue to build infrastructure. And as a state, we say we will not fold our arms and make an excuse and not be able to do something for our people. We must. So that is why this property tax is the most important way of getting tax to do work. All those people who work for government, who work for companies, they pay tax, they pay payee. You can't pay tax if you have not earned something. Tax is like tithes. It is the contribution to government from what you have earned or what you own. That is why tax is necessary. Without tax, there can be no government, there can be no development. This tax, the property tax, is to avoid a lot of trouble. If you have property, you pay only one tax. It's not today local government will come and pay tenement rent. Another day, state will come and pay ground rent. No, one tax you pay for your property. Between local government and state, they know how to share it. The other thing is that this tax you pay, now, nobody's collecting cash. It is going straight into the account of government. And government must account for it. And we do. To say, this is how much tax we have collected. This is how we have spent the tax. Some of you traditional rulers, I came to see you last week. What did I say? I said, from our IGRO, from our revenue, what do we want to do? Every month now, let us take some money and look for those people who cannot feed, poorest of the poor, so that we can give them something. So this is a way of those who have to contribute something so that we can also give those who don't have. We can do so much in Edo, I believe so. The country is in problem economically. We cannot continue to fold our arms and wait for somebody who cannot help us. We have to look for a way to help ourselves. This is one way to help ourselves. People are saying, Governor Obaseki, when you leave, all these things you are doing, how will it continue? It will not continue if we don't pay tax. It will not, because there will be no money to do it. And the person that's coming may not be a financial expert like me that can squeeze money from nothing. But you must be ready to face the political consequence. So it's important that we must emphasize taxation, because without taxation, we cannot be self-sufficient. The good thing is that we can see every property in Edo. No property is hidden again. From now, we fly a drone, we will see the one you have built inside. You put fence, you build the one you are collecting, we can see it. And we know how to value it. All we are saying is just pay small thing. It's not plenty, just small.
Managing Director of Edo Geographic Information Service, Osaro Grace, talk say the land use charge na consolidation of all land-based rates and charges wey dem suppose pay to Edo State, and say the charge dey on real properties like land, building, structure, and say the new law go allow local government areas for the state handle tenement rates while state government dey in charge of property tax and ground rent.
The land use charge law is not really a new thing. It has been there, but it's like it has been hidden in obscurity. Many people did not understand it, even though it was there. Some people even never saw the law. But after today, I want you to go to EdoGIS website, www.edogis.org. You'll be able to download the whole law, so you will know the provisions of the law. And what is it all about? It is a consolidation of all the land-based rate in the state, payable in Edo State. It is on real property within all the territorial territory of the state. It is an annual tax. So it's not what you pay once and for all. It's going to be an annual tax payable specifically on all chargeable properties which are not exempted. Real property has been defined as land, buildings, structures, any improvement on land is real property. And the law went further to define what real property is. Like I said, fences, fixtures, structures, anything occupied, movable or immovable, are fixed or not chargeable under this law. Go to the next. Is this law legal? Yes, it is legal. Like I said, with the land use charge law of 2023, the local government councils are now fully involved. So while we are collecting on our side, while we are dealing with the property tax and ground rent, the local government councils are handling the tenement rate. So with the signing of the MOU, we can now work efficiently and also avoid the duplicity of tax which used to take place. The land use charge is an indirect tax, which is helping the state and local government to broaden their internally generated revenue. Also, the introduction of the land use charge has now given opportunity to the state to ensure that our land assets are managed efficiently, thereby optimizing land value. There are properties that are exempted from paying land use charge. They include the property owned and occupied by a religious body. When you go to such places, you will see all kinds of buildings within religious property. But let me tell you, it is only those that are used exclusively for worship that will not be charged. So when you go to a religious place and you have event centers, you have schools, you have offices or some other kinds of buildings used for other uses, they will be charged. So it's the only one for worship that we will not charge. Then we have public cemeteries and burial grounds, they will not be charged. But the private cemeteries will be charged. Then property used as public libraries will not be charged. Then all palaces of recognized traditional rulers are exempted. But there is a right to that. Where such properties are leased or let for other uses, the part that is leased or let will be charged. Then we have the commercial residential. We call it commercial residential because these are properties that are let to third parties. So there are tenants there, even though they're in residential areas. So because there are tenants there, we have value for that also. It's not as big as commercial because you are receiving income there. So that property will be levied. We have industrial and manufacturing consigns. They also will pay. The percentage there is 0.20. Then we have the commercial. The commercial properties are those properties that will include buildings like offices, buildings like restaurants, hotels, warehouses. Those are chargeable properties. Then we have institutional. The institutional properties are schools, medicals, hospitals, private libraries. They are institutional, and so the value will not be too high also, because we know on their own part, they are also rendering some services to the state in their own small way. So those are the institutional property. Then we have agricultural concerns. Agricultural concerns are those buildings, those establishments like Presco, Okomu, and the like. They fall under the agricultural concerns. They are also charged. The next, we will be talking about the components of land use charge. I've said it, the first one is property tax. The second one is ground rent. Those two are for the state. Then the tenement rate is for the local government. That's why we are collaborating with them. The only thing we are giving to them is capacity and technology. Because without those two, they cannot collect their tenement rate effectively. Having said all this, it is important to note some important points as regards this land use charge, so that by the time we start working together, you would have understood fully what it's all about. Apart from the fact that you are going to download the law and every day you can look at it and see the provisions of the law. The first one is that a few years ago, the State Executive Council approved a discount of 10% for anybody who pays on time. If you pay before the deadline given to you, you are entitled to 10% discount, which you can deduct yourself before you pay in the money. However, if you don't pay, if the money is not going to be paid in full, if it's just a partial payment or that you have arrears, you will not enjoy that 10%. So it's good you understand that very well. There are also penalties attached to non-payment, late payment, and we gave you enough time, between 45 and 75 calendar days. If you do not pay the land use charge, you will pay 10% of. We have also said here now is an offense for you to obstruct people who are coming to access your property. It is also an offense to misrepresent what you have or to tamper with your document. It's an offense. It's also an offense not to have approved building plans.
For the talk section, some chief and ogbonge people can't chook mouth for the matter as they say no be to pay the tax, but when they pay the tax, whether government go use them do better thing for the state.
My addition is number one. Like in my community, I called the 4 communities not quite a month ago because of these road issues. I'm just discussing that we need so money every year to maintain the roads in the 4 communities, which everybody agreed to pay. So I think same goes if I call the communities that there's a tax the government says we should be paying, that this road should be kept well for the tax being paid. The community will take my voice too. So goes to the traditional rulers in the whole 18 local governments. So please, like the governor just said, in times like this, to my own suggestion, there must be an example. Because if I tell you now, I cannot go to my palace now, the airport road and the Kawan road, almost 42 communities, they are all on my necks. We're about 7 traditional rulers there. So please, my governor, like I just said, This tax paying is very easy. If I call my people, this is what the governor said, and this road will be kept in order, they will follow me.
Your Excellency and the other presenter, you have all spoken well. Let me beg to stand on the existing protocol. Well, we all want good governance, no doubt. Over the years, citizens have begun to lose confidence in government bringing the benefits of democracy. Paying the money is not an issue. How do people get to enjoy this good governance has always been the problem with citizens. Now, like the endorsement I just spoke for what he said, there are areas like that airport road has become a death trap to a lot of people living in that area. And if you go to meet such persons and say, bring money as property tax, I'm sure the resistance is going to be very high from that angle. I think these are part of the issues we should be discussing today. How do we also manage pensioners? So there are persons who could barely eat in a day. How do you now assess their level of livelihood to determine if they will be exempted or not? From all analysis, such was not mentioned in the presentation. In the present economic situation of this country, Nigerians are begging even President Tinubu so that they can breathe. Because we cannot even eat properly like before. And we are coming out with another tax again. I think it's going to be a difficult thing, I must say the truth. I think this should be the best of time.
Your Excellency, they are not too much, Your Excellency. Thank you. As about two speakers have spoken just now, you made good for the people of Edo State. But I don't know how far you can go with your workers, particularly in the local government area level. Some of the roles you consulted is ordinary company in a Woyimi, a Gina scarf that is clearing the gutter. But every market, the council are there collecting money. The market is dirty. So I feel that will be the same thing that will happen. Is collecting the money, not doing anything with it, going for back top, maybe if it is 5,000, give me 2,000, forget the rest. That is the problem in Edo State. Nothing more, nothing less. People will be prepared to pay for taxation and do whatever they can to support the government. But the workers are there doing their own, just exactly of what happened during the time of NEPA. You give them 1,000, they leave your light. But bill is building up for the people. And the second one is the same rate of this taxation. Is it going to be the same rate affecting we in the local level and the city?
The question I want to ask now be say, now the house when they built 1900, now they want to pay tax put a be, now the new land, now they want to pay tax put. So, now go break that up for me. If that the house when they built 1900, because
please let us listen, please.
We will be market women. You know, say that market we don't know book. But we they struggle to train our children, train our daughter for school. Now that live and water live, now when we sell for market, now we manage. And now we they sell all these things to train our children. So, shade where we did with the people. And secondly, to come pay tax. I know say all the day that they pay tax. That tax, not be lie that they pay tax for all the days. That time is small. They wait there for road. Who they come from farm, they go wait out. Say you never pay your tax. Not be today tax come. But you can't open our ear now because you don't tell where they pay at. I wish they pay us since
if you don't be like this. But now, as country be so, country now hungry now with this so. To call here just now, I know how much I take enter motor call here before I call here just now. If I dey go house to do that so, everywhere don't that, and food is there for market. To enter transport it is there. Now wahala, nothing will not be wahala for this business, for this Edo State. Call carry this one journal now, not be say they do am before. Meanwhile, no, if that the land where we dey take now, and they want pay that way they go do CFO, or now the one where we buy, or the one where we build hard put, now we go to do CFO. I want to make I know.
I'm finding it extremely difficult to really accept the tax as it is captured, land use charge, especially against the background that it was expressly stated here today that even a vacant land that is not in use can be charged. So if we say land use charge, I think it will be proper to term it land ownership stroke use charge. So that even if it is vacant, as far as somebody is an owner to that land, then I think it will be more embracing with that. Then I want to equally talk about the agricultural holding that you mentioned. Let's be careful to define that properly. The reason being that there are persons who are just local farmers and they farm it on land. So if we say agricultural property are taxed, then we have to define the kind of holding that is that can attract taxation. I want us to define that properly. Then I want to equally talk on this very specific area that has to do with the assessment. While presenting your paper, you mentioned that a checklist will be distributed to persons to get details of the land. I want us to be very specific about that. To be able to attract us, valuation must be done. And valuation must be done by persons that government recognizes that is trained and qualified to carry out such valuation. I want us to equally define that.
For a response, Governor Obaseki come talk say make everybody trust in government for accountability and transparency matter. Saying government go do the right thing, and if they not pay something, they not get right to ask how they spend the money where they collect. And say World Bank trust the state, now it make them they continue to join body with the state for different ways. And say if World Bank trust the state, why you wait the state not trust the state government? As World Bank they give the state money directly because they trust them.
First, we must trust government. If you did not trust government before, at least from what we have done in the last 6 years, you are not going to trust us. People ask, Governor, where you they get the money when you they take do all this work? Huh? And I still fact, another Mobode said, if you do not pay tax, if you do not contribute to something, you don't have any right to even ask about how the money collected is being spent. So one of the problems which Iyeki raised, that for many years, nobody was collecting. And because nobody was collecting, the little they collect, they do them anyhow. Nobody asked. So the issue of lack of accountability started. What we have tried to do in the last 6 years is to bring this issue of accountability. We own the state. We must contribute to running the state. If the people in Abuja say they won't give us, we will go die. Did we not exist before Abuja? So I think we should look at where we are today. Nigeria is changing. As somebody said, imagine we're a country of our own. Can we not survive? How will we survive? Is it not through levying and taxing each other? But the important thing is that whatever you collect, you must say, this is how much we collect, and this is how we spent it. And that one is there. So I'm surprised that my brother Omobude said, we have never called town hall meeting. We publish our accounts 3 months after the end of the year. It's there. So every kobo we earn is explained. So if people like World Bank can trust us to say, we see what you have done, take more money to do the work for your people, they cannot be stupid people. How many states in this country, even in Africa, is the World Bank giving money direct to? And somebody can only give you money if they see what you have done with the one you have before. But after some time, they also ask, the people we are doing this thing for, what is their own contribution? This is not general taxation. My brother will never chop. You get land. Leftist. You don't have any land now. So what is your own problem with this tax? You protect those when you get? You get with it? Anyway, this is land use charge. It is only for people who have land and people who are making money from their land. You have a house, you have tenants, you collect rent. You don't want to make government do roads to that house? Even if we have not done the roads today, how can we do it tomorrow if we don't start collecting? Look at these pictures. Is Edo not changing? Look at, before now, so brown roof you're going to get. Now you see fine roof. And we now want to make we stop this development? No, God forbid, we cannot. So, my brother leftist, you say you never chop. I say, the more revenue I get, the more I can feed you. So this revenue is for people like you where not get. Let the people who have land, right? The people who are collecting revenues from land, people who are collecting income from land, let them pay something so that we can feed you and stop this hunger when you're there. So the issue of accountability is important. And that is something we are emphasizing in government. Every kobo you earn, you must spend. And tell the people how you spent it. You say we should create more, open up more areas like GRAs. How good one? Now, Sansan, is it no money we require to do it? So that is why, in fact, you are giving us the reason why we must collect some of these charges and taxes so that we can open up. Look at what we are doing in Iriri now. We are developing a whole new city, Coral City. Building roads, showing what Edo should look like a modern state. Is it not revenue these taxes we will use? So I agree with you. We need to open up. But we need to now begin. We can't wait and rely on anybody from outside before we do what we need to do. The fact that you don't get local government chairman, not mean say local government not there. The local governments exist, even if we haven't conducted elections. They exist. And the local governments, they're not existing in void. People still man them. And whatever commitments those people make is a commitment on the local government. So it doesn't validate what we have done. Our royal fathers talked about developing rural areas. The meeting we just finished before we came is a 30-year Edo master plan, the regional master plan. How we must bring development to every part of Edo. How we can link these rural areas. How to make sure that everybody doesn't come to Benin. In Edo Central, you should have access of growth there. We have university, we should have teaching hospital, we should have everything. Edo North, we should have the same thing. That is why we run this senatorial zone system. The problem we have had before now is everybody just sit down waiting for allocation from Abuja. That is what we have been running for the last 30 years. But now that has come to an end, or is coming to an end. We have to look for other ways to grow our own economy. I think for me to just round up, first, you must trust government. You must trust that you have a responsible government. Otherwise, if we argue and say, oh, government never do anything, therefore we will not pay, then government will not do anything and we will continue to suffer. It's better to pay and hold government responsible and say, show us what you have done with this money that you have collected. This charge is not new. As EA said, it has always been there. This one is not it's tenements, it's ground rent. That land, that property you own, don't you want to use it? Huh? Don't you want road to lead to the place? Don't you want it secured? How are we going to build it if you don't contribute something? That is why, like someone said, from ancient times, it didn't start today, everywhere in the world. If you own property, you pay tax on your property. It is not new. There's nothing new we're doing. But you can't ask somebody who has not eaten to pay tax. So, Mobude, leftist, you are not going to pay tax since you have not eaten. But if you have property, you pay tax on that property.
Osaro Grace come talk say those wey dey receive pension no go pay the tax, but they need to confirm first.
For the pensioners, yes, if you are a pensioner, you will show us your paper that you are pensioned. You are 70 years and above. You are no longer working, and you have no tenant in your house. Some pensioners are richer than some of you. They have properties along Akpakpava. So if you are a pensioner, you are living in that house with your family, we'll look at everything, look at your papers, look at your age, and we can exempt you. We also talked about Mama that said if a house, can they do CFO for a land that has a building? Of course, you can. Whether the house is old or not, you want to give life to your property. If you do CFO for that old house, a bank can take it from you, it becomes new. So, Mama, you can do CFO for bare land. You can do CFO for a land that has a building. The assessment is according to the age of the building. When we are depreciating, we look at that. And Papa also said, are they going to pay the same thing as the rural area? Of course not. The valuation takes care, when we say valuation, it takes care of the value of the property. So if you have a property in Akpakpava, for example, and you are paying 100,000, if that same property is in Ikobahi, you're not going to pay that. If that same property is in Ewotubu, you're not going to pay the same amount, because we take into consideration the value, that's this infrastructure in that area, what gives property value. We do all that when we are doing our valuation.
Make them not forget, say, as we see am, na so we dey talk am, we know they take blame. From Government House, Benin City, Pelumi Mukoro, TMC TV News.